Good morning, Tara. A little bit better today. We'll get more used to it. So, this morning, let's talk about one of the most important things I learned from working in retirement homes. Almost every elder that I've ever worked with, they all had various things that were, specific to them, but there was a couple of things that were pretty much universal among all the elders I've ever worked with. The primary one was they all told me to avoid what ifs. I don't care what the what if is. Get up and go talk to that person if you're interested in them. Apply for that job. Do that trip. Whatever the thing is, you do not want to be in a rest home at 89 years of age looking up at your caregiver and saying, I really wish I would have done that. I promise you, your life is made of your experiences, so go after those experiences. That's the primary lesson I learned. The second one, more practical, is almost every one of them told me, Song, I really wish I'd stretched when I was younger. So, stretching is not fun, much like exercise. It never feels good. Like, you stretch a hamstring out, and guess what? The moment you stop stretching it, it starts retightening. So frustrating. So by the time you get up again the next morning, it feels like you have done none of that work, which is, frustrating. Anyway, so the deal is to create a habit for yourself. Like a lot of habits, they can be good or bad, but you use the habituation of the experience in order to carry you through these days where you don't really want to. Like, there's most days I really don't want to go through the sheer pain it takes to unlock my neck from the damage done in a car accident. For me, depends on the day, but can be as little as 5 minutes or as much as an hour and 20 in order to get to the point where I can turn my chin all the way from side to side. I haven't quite finished mine yet this morning, so still a little tight. You don't need a lot of space. Space that I use to do a small little isometric workout works great for just stretching. And you don't have to do yoga or any of this other garbage. I've never had a yoga class in my life. But the sheer number of people over the years is, oh, you're great at yoga. It's like, sorry, folks. All I've ever had was sports, regular old PE, and martial art classes. And that's where my stretches come from. Never done a single day of yoga in my entire goddamn life. Probably never will. So, you don't even need to know how to stretch to know that if something's tight and you move it in a way that you can feel the tightness, that's stretching. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to rip things, but you do need to put yourself to an uncomfortable point so that it feels incredibly tight and quite possibly pretty painful. As long as we stretch, it helps to essentially maintain homeostasis with the body. All those old folks that I used to work with in group homes, it was really obvious the ones that had continued to work on their body regardless of what their age point was, because they weren't in wheelchairs. They didn't have to use a walker. They were relatively capable of doing all their own ADLs. And I promise you, if you're an able-bodied person, nothing is quite as humiliating as having to have someone else wipe your ass for you. I know a lot of you think, oh, that'll never happen to me. Actually, if you live long enough, it's guaranteed to. So I want to think about that a little bit. So that's the lesson for today. I make sure to stretch when I first get up. I do a few other things like make coffee, get the cat his food, that kind of jazz. Otherwise, he might eat me. He wouldn't, but it makes a funny story. And then I spend anywhere, like I said, from 5 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes just making sure that my various muscles and sinews are warmed up and moving properly. And then I go on with my day. If I don't do this, one, I can't turn my head much farther than that, certainly not all the way over to the shoulder. Very highly likely to trigger a migraine for myself later on in the day. And again, just like with the exercising, overall, my mood and mentality is just basically gets a couple of plus points just by making sure that I take the moment to torture myself a little bit and make things like my damaged hip and my damaged neck move around and do the motions they're supposed to. If you have never stretched before, simply type in range of motion exercises. That's ROM exercises, and do them. I promise you, if you do those and do those the majority of your days, when you're in that nursing home at the end of your life, you will have a lot more fun. I promise you, there was people who really did very much have a lot of fun living in the nursing home. And then there was the majority that were simply basically waiting to die versus the people that were living. So that's your thought for the day. Hope everybody has a great one. And just remember, keep making that body uncomfortable and it will pay you back.